Unseals' wife, Fani, all that money you allocated tricking on a prosecutor, tricked his wife out of $1,400 a month alimony payments, and even took some of it back using the debit card out the same account that he put the money in from contracts he allegedly fucked you for. Where's the justice for this black woman when she's saying I've been married to his ass for 26 years, raised his children, and he somehow found a way to get around the law to only pay me $700 every 2 weeks, and then he splits that with me? This is the one you getting up on a church podium here to stand beside? That's the problem. Women findeth men. How you in church talking about, when I found this black man? You didn't find him. He's fucking you. Full way up. That's just what it is. And you didn't think that they was gonna find out. But I'm just like, where's the justice for this black woman over here that helped to build up the very man that you are enjoying right now for the small price of $630,000 every year?
And the Lord did not cause you to stumble into $600,000 of taxpayer money because you sleeping with the dude who's the lead prosecutor. You thought you were going to get away, and so you try to get the church's money. That's what happened here, and you got caught. It's that simple. And look, should this case be thrown out? It should, because it is clear you have prosecutorial misconduct. Now that he was billing Fulton County DA's office for 24 hours of discovery, having meetings in Washington, D.C. with the White House counsel. I mean, that's ridiculous. You know that. Everybody knows that. But I got one other question. What does the White House counsel know? When did they know it? And what does Joe Biden know? And when did he know it? Because if they're meeting with the White House counsel's office, you can't tell me that they did not tell the president what was going on. She is in a long line of politicians who were trying to essentially take advantage of Trump to build their name ID. And she was also trying to get money in the process. Don't go into a black church and say, oh, pray for me. You did wrong, and you know you did wrong. You're in violation of any lawyer's ethics standards in any state in the country. Don't go to the church now asking for prayer and forgiveness. You knowingly did it and you got caught. She should be removed. She should be disbarred.
All right, guys. So we got to talk about Miss Fani Willis, who is under fire for getting her fanny pack by a special prosecutor that she hired to go after Trump. Now, this story right here is probably the beginning of the end for Fanny Pack's career, because she's facing calls to resign. I mean, even the mainstream liberal media lawyers are calling for Nathan Wade to resign, saying that he should step down, because they want to be able to save face when it comes to the potential Trump trial that, again, could be in jeopardy because of all of this stuff. The reason why all of this is happening is because a defendant in this trial asked for this case to be dismissed because of these allegations of this improper relationship between Fanny Pack getting her fanny packed by this special prosecutor, Nathan Wade, in which he was paid $650,000+ to pack her fanny, and also to go after Trump, right? This guy, even though he lacked experience, was paid more than everybody else on the team, okay? And nobody's out here boohoo whining and crying racism or asking questions about whether race was involved when, you know, hey, you know, if the roles were reversed, they would be asking questions about whether or not race was involved. But clearly this guy was an affirmative action hire. He got hired because of his magic stick, which, you know, apparently, you know, Fani Willis is obsessed with, so obsessed with that she's willing to compromise her whole career and her reputation over it, right? So this is where we're at, right? We're at a point now where Fani Willis is being involved in the divorce case involving Nathan Wade and his wife, Jocelyn Wade, who, by the way, I've never fell in love with another man's wife, but this might be the exception where I think that that's actually okay because, one, they're getting divorced, and two, she quite literally could be helping sabotage this case against Trump, right? And for that, I am very thankful, okay? We have to root for Miss Jocelyn Wade. She deserves an award for Wife of the Year, okay? And this story keeps getting better and better and better because the divorce judge that is involved in this case just made a bombshell decision that could reveal to us the exact details of this divorce case involving Miss Fani Pack Willis and what she knows and how involved she really actually was in breaking up this relationship, ruining this marriage, as the judge has ordered that the divorce records be unsealed. Okay, they were sealed before, in which they should not have been sealed. Now they're going to be unsealed, and we're going to get the real juicy details about Fani Willis getting her fanny pack and how that led to this divorce and how she was involved. So without further ado, let's get into this.
All rise. Superior Court is now in session.
A big decision on Monday that could impact the Fulton County election indictment happening miles away in a Cobb County courtroom. The secretive case of Special Prosecutor Nathan Wade's divorce, secret no more. A judge ordering its unsealing, marking the first time the case has been made public since February of 2022.
There's very specific and stringent processes that the court must follow before a record is withheld from the public, and they were not followed in this case, Judge.
Attorney Ashley Merchant, who represents election indictment defendant Michael Roman, said the case was sealed without a public hearing, invalidating its secrecy. It was Roman's legal team who first floated the allegations of an improper relationship between Wade and his boss, District Attorney Fani Willis, earlier this month. After urging from Willis's attorneys, a judge said he'll wait to hear Wade's deposition in the case before deciding if Willis has to comply with her own subpoena for her testimony in the divorce.
Yeah, so Fanny Pack is supposed to testify. However, the judge is saying, look, we need to hear Mr. Wade and his testimony first, since this is his own divorce case, before they hear Fanny Pack and what she has to say, right? I guess this guy knows more about his own marriage than Fanny Pack does, so we're going to hear what he has to say, and then we'll decide whether or not Fanny Pack needs to speak about this, right? So that's also a part of what the judge had ruled in this case so far.
Wade's bank statements, released on Friday, show the two traveled together to California and Florida while Wade was acting as special prosecutor. His wife's attorney outside of court said this wasn't an attempt to smear him or Willis or to tamper with the election indictment.
It wouldn't matter who she is and what position she holds. If she's having an affair with my client's husband and he's spending my client's money on that relationship, I'm going to find out about it. And it has nothing to do, in my view, with her being the district attorney of Fulton County.
Yeah, so this is in response to the wacko conspiracy theory that was put forth by Fanny Pack, in which she claims that Jocelyn Wade is working on behalf of the Trump campaign, right? Like, this is a conspiracy from the Trump campaign to sabotage the case, right? That Jocelyn Wade is basically working on behalf of Trump. And that's what's happening here, okay? This is the wacko conspiracy theory that she put out, which tells you everything you need to know, right? She's desperate. She's in church trying to invoke God and to make excuses for her 304 behavior when she should be repenting, right? She should be repenting for her sins, asking for forgiveness, admitting that she was wrong for breaking up this man's marriage. No, she's trying to play the race card. She's throwing out conspiracy theories. She's doing everything except taking responsibility and accountability for what we all know is true, right? I mean, come on, this is 100% true, right? I mean, we can say alleged. I mean, like, yeah, I'm gonna say alleged because I don't want to get sued. But yeah, allegedly this is true, right? But you know, again, I mean, we have receipts, literal bank receipts of this man spending money, flying her out all over the country and out of the country as well too. Which, again, by the way, I just don't understand how $650,000 plus is enough for that, right? I still don't think that's enough for me to be seen in public with her in a romantic relationship and to actually clap the cheeks like real, like for real. No way, right? Not nearly enough money, okay? Not nearly enough money, okay? This man definitely is underselling himself. He's prostituting himself for not enough money to be with Fanny Pack Willis, right? There's just some clients where you got to say, look, man, this is you can't put a price on this, right? I'm just saying it's just not worth it, right? It's just not worth it. And I think she would be one of those clients, right? I'll just keep it all the way 100.
Apologies for the technical difficulties on the front end of that. We also want to state that the next hearing in this case will be on January 31st, so we're not that far away from it. Also, at the state capitol today, legislators there announced a new special investigations committee, and they say their first task will be looking into these alleged allegations of an improper relationship at the Fulton County District Attorney's Office. So lots more to go on this. We're in Cobb County tonight. Doug Reardon, Atlanta News First.
All right, so you see now, you heard that. So now, she has people that are calling for her to resign, to step down over this impropriety.
Calls are growing for Fulton County, Georgia District Attorney Fani Willis to step down from the election interference case against former President Trump. I mean, can she do the job with all that's going on? That's the question. She herself is snarled in a messy love triangle, allegedly, and faces calls to resign for paying her alleged lover, Nathan Wade, big money, $650,000, despite him having no experience. She put him on the Trump case, arguably the biggest case of her career, and paid him, and now stuff's happening.
Well, you know, again, according to her own rules that she has for her office, she should step down, right? She should fire herself. She should resign because she said that in her office, in her work environment, you're not going to have supervisors and superiors sleeping around having sexual relationships with the employees, people under them, right? So in this case, I mean, you know, she hired Nathan Wade and, you know, allegedly she's sleeping around with him. She should fire herself. But who knows? I mean, you know, maybe, just maybe, she is interpreting this in regards to the sexual relationship in and of itself as, well, Nathan Wade, for the most part, probably 90% of the time is on top of her. So maybe it doesn't count. But, you know, then again, I can't really imagine, you know, Fanny Pack being on top of Nathan Wade because he probably would suffocate, right? So I'm just saying, you know, that's something that's very hard to imagine. So again, maybe her interpretation of her being on top of him or over him is a little bit different than the rules that she's applied to the office, right? But I mean, technically, she's working under him, okay, as her employee. She hired him. So according to her rules, she should fire herself. But like all leftists, leftists don't actually abide by their own rules. The rules are for everybody else, not them.
Here's Trump's attorney.
I think there's a general concern in this country right now, and this sheds light on that, Martha, in that we're appointing these individuals to positions of power where they have access to taxpayer money, and they're selecting cases to become more famous, not do the right thing. And then we see this slew of corruption that eventually comes down, including this story.
Florida Congressman Byron Donalds with this: the Lord did not cause you to stumble into $600,000 in taxpayer money because you're sleeping with the lead prosecutor. There's prosecutorial misconduct. Fani should be removed and disbarred. Steve Harrigan on the story in Marietta, Georgia now. Steve.
Harris, the fight today is over divorce proceedings, whether or not they should be unsealed, and whether that district attorney, Fani Willis, should be forced to be deposed to give testimony in this divorce case. Another hearing coming up next month will look at whether the two behaved improperly and whether they improperly used taxpayer money to take vacations. Many are already beginning to say that the district attorney should step aside.
I think that the case is, if it hasn't gone off the rails already, it's about to. And I don't see anything good coming from her staying in charge of the case at this point. And I think a lot good can happen if she steps away. This is obviously a huge distraction.
Yeah, she's definitely going to have to step down, right? 100%. At the very least, because it's a huge distraction, okay? And for her, even if she steps down, let's say that the case, you know, continues or whatever, if she steps down, this is a huge L for her, because personally, I think that she should be criminally charged and thrown in jail. Okay, I really think, it should go that far with it, because, clearly, this is not something that should be legal. You should not be allowed to hire people to go after your political opponents and then pay them millions of taxpayer dollars for you to personally benefit from that, right? Like that to me is clearly corruption. But again, her whole thing was, I'm going to go after Trump to try to progress my career, right? She was probably thinking about running for higher office. And that is something that you're seeing nowadays is Democrats trying to up their profile by going after Trump. And she was one of those Democrats that were doing this. And all of that now essentially is over, right? It's over for her. She's not going to be able to stay on this case, right? At the very least, she's done, right? She's going to have to step down from this case. And hopefully she suffers more consequences for what she did. And hopefully the case gets dismissed altogether. But if not, at the very least, she has to step down and she won't be able to get the glory and credit of taking down Trump, getting a conviction against Trump, because again, she has to step down because of her own allegations against her. So again, that's probably at the very least what's going to happen here.
We've already gotten a hint at what might be in those divorce proceedings. On Friday, lawyers for the estranged wife released bank statements that show Nathan Wade bought plane tickets for himself and Willis to go to Miami, to go to San Francisco, to take a Caribbean cruise, and to rent a hotel in Napa Valley, California. Harris, back to you.
Yeah, so with that being said, we got to go to CNN and listen to their lawyer talk about this, because he's going to talk about it from the perspective, a Trump deranged perspective, right, obviously, of how he's saying that Nathan Wade should actually step down in order to save the prosecution against Trump, because it's becoming too big of a distraction.
Good morning, Poppy. Look, the law of disqualification in Georgia does not require either of them to step aside. It's not a disqualifying event for two prosecutors to have a relationship.
100% it is. 100%. That, and you're using taxpayer dollars to fund it. Yeah, I mean, this is disqualifying. Like, come on, my guy. Right? Again, the cope here is hilarious. The cope is hilarious.
But the challenge with Mr. Wade remaining on this case is that it's become a distraction from what is one of the most serious alleged conspiracies in American history. Poppy, we all heard that January 2nd, 2021 tape when Donald Trump said to Georgia Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger, just find 11,780 votes that didn't exist.
Again, see? It's the perspective of Trump derangement that this guy is coming from, right? It's the perspective of, well, we need to focus more on that, right? Than the fact that this woman is clearly and obviously corrupt, right? Clearly and obviously corrupt. No. We got to focus more on January 6th, okay? The Trump derangement is more important. Again, fascinating stuff. Even when there's clear corruption from Democrats, right? Right in your face, CNN and their silly lawyers, right, still find ways to try to cape for Democrats and to try to focus more on Trump than the fact that this woman is engaged in clear and obvious corruption and misuse of taxpayer funds to benefit herself.
That's where the focus needs to be. We need to get the case on track, moving quickly. A trial has been requested for 2024, and not discussing this relationship. Not mandatory, but he should do the right thing.
Wow.
One of the questions here is, Wade, this prosecutor, has made more than $650,000 on prosecuting this case so far, paid through Willis's office. It's taxpayer money. Mike Roman, his legal team, one of the co-defendants here, is saying their argument here is that by using that money to buy plane tickets to go on, sort of tropical vacations is not okay. And what they're alleging here is that Willis could possibly be prosecuted herself for honest services fraud or federal racketeering. Do you think that holds any legal water, or is that a stretch?
It's ridiculous, Poppy.
Wow.
Mr. Wade is a former judge. He's an experienced lawyer. He's done a terrific job up until now leading this team. He's had a series of successes. The team he's led has defeated some of the most prominent attorneys in the country in a series of legal battles, secured 4 guilty pleas. He's working at what we call in the legal profession a low bono rate, a reduced hourly rate of $250 an hour. That is nothing unusual. He's worked hard for years. The sum he's earned is not unusual by legal standards. I know it might sound like a lot to average folks. And people are allowed to have relationships. Prosecutors can do that. They can travel together. No. That's silly. The law does not support it.
Okay.
I don't even know if this CNN reporter believes that, right? I don't even know if she believes that. Maybe she does, maybe she doesn't. I don't know, man. I'm not a lawyer. I have no clue. All I'm saying is that, to me, I'm trying to figure out, why is this okay, right? Like, if this is not illegal, then what is, right? I mean, she quite literally hired her lover, okay, to go after her political opponent, paid him more than everybody else, and then used the money to go on trips. At the very least, you would think that all of this would be something that ethically just wouldn't be allowed, period. I mean, she's in a secret relationship with the guy, right, that nobody knew about until this whistleblower, the Trump defendant, came out and exposed it to the public. And turns out this is true, right? This is what's happening. Okay, I think at the very least, the public should know that, hey, these two are in a relationship. That's not information that we knew, right? We didn't know that they was in a relationship, going on vacations with this guy on taxpayer dime. Nobody knew of this information until it just got revealed. And if it's okay, then why be in a secret relationship, right? Why keep it a secret? Okay, if this is all totally fine and totally good, why keep it a secret? But hey, who knows? Maybe, just maybe, okay, under Georgia law, it doesn't disqualify her. Maybe it doesn't. I've read some articles that argue that it doesn't. I would argue personally that, you know, Fani Willis may be committing fraud. I mean, they're taking trips all over the globe, okay? And to me, it seems like some money laundering is going on, because Fani is paying this guy taxpayer funds, and then they're going on trips together, and this dude's probably billing taxpayers for the hours that he's spending with Fani Pack Willis, clapping her cheeks, right, and getting paid to do it. Okay, I mean, again, this is money laundering. This is fraud. This is what I think that it is, right? So I'm just saying, I think Fani Pack Willis should go to jail. But you know what's funny about this, though? This is the difference between Democrats and Republicans. None of the things that Trump did are really against the law, but what Democrats have done is that they've essentially tried to interpret the law in a way to try to make it seem like, oh yeah, well, Trump broke the law, right? Like, for example, when you talk about the 14th Amendment and the insurrection clause, Trump wasn't charged with the act of insurrection, but they're still trying to say he committed insurrection and pull it off the ballot anyways, right? If you look at his RICO charge from Fani Willis, I mean, it's a stretch, okay? This is something that she's using to go after Trump that, you know, really is an uncharted legal territory, but yet she's doing it anyways, right? A Republican's going to do the same thing back to Fani Pack Willis, right? And try to stretch the law and interpret the law in whatever way they can to go after her, to make her stand trial, right? That's the question. That's the difference between Democrats and Republicans. They don't care if the law, the way that it has been interpreted in the past, actually applies. No. They're going to have a new interpretation, right? And then they're going to try to apply it to their political opponents and go after them. That's what they're doing to Trump in every single last one of his cases. Are Republicans going to do it back to Fani Pack Willis? That's the real question. That's what we really should be asking. We should be demanding from the Republican Party to do, right? I'm so serious. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.